and in Kansas City. And wireline residential telephone service. It doesn't sound to me like it's going to fly, does it to you? And don't give him any money. And remember all of you, never to buy a satellite named Primestar, because that's owned by TCI. Ted said that he has a key job at Loco. His mother-in-law says, yeah, it's his job to lock up at night. And Billy said, Dad, what's an example of minority rule? And Dad said, having a baby in the house. And Bobby came home from school and he had all A's on his report card, and his father says he must get his brains from me, and his mother said he must. I still have mine. I have some stats for you about Cablevision, law-breaking, lying, and covering up. Let's find those stats for you really fast, because we have a lot of reports for you. Actually, these are last week's stats, because I haven't had time to... These are the stats or statistics of the week of February the 3rd. This past week, the week of February 10th, I haven't had time to add them up. But anyway, Cablevision, law-breaking, lying, and covering up has cost us $8,798.95. That's $8,800. Print, post, court fees, rip-off court stenographers. 4,165 hours. And you take each one of those hours and you multiply it by $250, which is what these crackpot, monopolist, rip-off lawyers get. And that's $1,041,250 in legal labor. 49 volumes of Dolan Todd Quinn law-breaking, lying, and covering up. 16,066 pages of traitorship to America. 6 file drawers, 3 years, 2 months, 315 TV programs, a bad record, Dolan, Todd and Quinn, and 355 mailings. Let me talk to you about the derivative action. I have not heard from anybody as to my motion to alter, to amend, or for relief from judgment, okaying the settlement on the Cablevision derivative action, where the stockbrokers had inside information, sold the stock, made over $1 million, prejudiced the stockholders, and Cablevision did nothing about it. And a woman named Margaret Wojcinski brought a derivative action, and the lawyer, and I got the lawyer fees, I think it was myself, got the lawyer's fees down from $400,000 to $250,000. I haven't heard anything from them. On the next to the newest lawsuit against Cablevision, Glendora shareholder versus the board of directors of Cablevision Systems Corporation in the Eastern District of New York, Southern District of New York, Eastern District of New York, United States District Court. The informa pauperis on that has been approved. And so now the next step is for the marshals to serve the defendants. It's great to have a United States Marshal come to your door and say you were served. I noticed in TCI, whom I sued 3 times, that the United States Marshal served the first lawsuit, Glendora versus Malone. They just laughed that off. And then the second lawsuit, Glendora versus Telecommunications, right away, they quickly got in their admission of service. So the second time they knew what it meant. And the third time, when I sued Glendora versus Bob Magnus, they got in their waiver of service very soon. You should do that anyway. That's the way custom, or that's the way it's set up in the United States District Court. Just waive the service so that you can save the expense of having a summons served. If you don't waive the service, you may have to end up paying the costs of the service. So that's a good thing they have in the United States in the United States courts that they don't have in the state courts. Third lawsuit, or most recent lawsuit, is Glendora versus Sullivan, and that's the case where the appellate division, second department, where the elite meet to cheat, they fouled up everything. They were crooked, they were devious, they lied, and so we're suing the 4 judges of that court, along with Judge Silverman of the New York State Supreme Court, along with Charles L. Bryant of the United States District Court, and along with Cablevision, Dolan, Todd, and Quinn. And I was reading you that last week, and I think I read you 10 pages of that. Let me show you this case, Glendora versus Shareholder, or Glendora rather, Shareholder versus. Sorry about all these wires. This is the one that the informer pauperous has just been approved upon. Now this is Glendora versus Sullivan, and page 10 last week, we're on page 11 now, but if Glendora tells Charles L. Bryant he has to put her back on the trial calendar because the Santucci Quartet robbed her of her right to appeal, Charles L. Bryant will cop out with the case is in the United States Court of Appeals. He therefore has no jurisdiction until the appeal is decided. Well, no other United States District Judge has ever done this. Charles L. Bryant is the only one. William C. Connor let the United States District Court TCI case rage while it was in the United States Court of Appeals. Barrington D. Parker let the Continental case rage while it was in the United States Court of Appeals. So did Jed S. Radcliffe. But Charles L. Bryant will do anything to dump his responsibility onto someone else. It all fits in with his volte-face not forcing Callagy to pay Glendora $120 for the audio tape Callagy ordered after Charles L. Bryant had ordered Callagy 6 times to pay it. If you were a judge in the United States District Court and you had ordered a lawyer to pay 6 times and the lawyer didn't do it, would you put up with it? Well, Charles L. Bryant does, for the same reason he let Cablevision, Dolan, Todd, and Quinn out of the trial. It fits in with Charles L. Bryant not making billionaires Dolan, Todd, and Quinn return the $350 subpoena money they stole when the trial was stayed February 28, 1996. Instead of returning the $350, they banked it and are collecting Franklin's 9% statutory interest. Subject matter jurisdiction. Plaintiff Glendora states that all of the defendants listed in the caption, page 1, violated her civil rights. This action is brought under the First Amendment and 18th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States and under the Title 42 United States Code sections 1983 and 1985. Further, plaintiff Glendora invokes this court's pendant jurisdiction over any and all state claims and causes of action which derive from the same nucleus of operative facts that gave rise to the federally based claims and causes of action. Plaintiff seeks declaratory relief and damages pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 23. This is a class action. Glendora, wholesome producer of a weekly series of public access programs, seeks a judgment declaring that defendants robbing her of her right to poor person relief has robbed her of her right to appeal, which has robbed her of her right to trial, which has robbed her of her right to compensatory and punitive damages to be paid by defendants Dolan, Todd, and Quinn, Cablevision, for robbing her of her right to freedom from cable TV operator control of speech and press. And that's Title 47 United States Code, Section 531E, affectionately called the Cable Television Act of 1984. And New York Executive Law, Article 28, Section 829.3, and New York Code Rules and Regulations 595.4 et sequitur. Plaintiff further seeks that this court award her compensatory and punitive damages in the amount of $181 million. The United States District Courthouse jurisdiction over this case because of its being a federal question. Plaintiff seeks relief under all the federal laws, statutes, and constitutional rights listed on her page 12. The United States District Court, Eastern District of New York, is the proper court in which to file this action since the action arose in the Eastern District, Brooklyn. Last week originally started in Nassau County in 1993. Since the Cablevision defendants live and work in Nassau County, and since plaintiff has a Suffolk address, and since plaintiff edits her public access TV program on Tuesday at Cablevision Hicksville, and since plaintiff's TV program at Chat with Glendora is on the Nassau County system, plus Huntington, Islip, and Babylon, for a half hour every week, Friday, January 25th, 10 to 10 p.m., and there is a copy of the rubber stamp of the address. Who are the defendants? Well, Thomas R. Sullivan, Fred T. Santucci, William D. Friedman, and Gabriel M. Grousman. Grousman are judges of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department, Supreme Court of the State of New York, who have shafted Glendora civil rights 15 times, both federal and state, and have cost Glendora over $30,000 and have majorly contributed to Glendora's being in former progress. Charles F. Dolan is a friend of Glendora's, was a guest on Chat with Glendora in 1988, and is chairman of Cablevision Systems Corporation, its former CEO and its founder. His son James L. Dolan has been CEO for about 1 year. John Tata is Charles' partner, and together they acquired the Cablevision monopoly on all Long Island, excepting TCI Brookhaven. A Chat with Glendora is cablecast weekly on East Long Island system, Woodbury, Nassau, Smithtown, Suffolk West, Riverhead, East Hampton, and TCI Brookhaven. A Chat with Glendora is also cablecast every week on Cablevision Yonkers, Harrison, Port Chester, Yorktown, and Cross River. Isn't it amazing how much the public will stand? Glendora is a Cablevision shareholder and attends the annual meetings, and just prevented a greedy lawyer from getting $400,000 in legal fees in a Cablevision derivative action, holding the fee down to $250,000. This was yesterday, 2797, before U.S. District Judge, Southern District of New York, Sidney Stein, 96 Civ 1400. Charles Dolan and John Tata live in Oyster Bay. William Clinton lives in Muttontown. Cablevision is a $2.9 billion corporation. The country's largest cable operator is TCI at $7 billion. Charles L. Bryant's role in this odyssey has already been outlined in Glendora's pages 2 to 12. Robert M. Calligate of Sadley, Stevens, Burke & Burke, 230 Park Avenue, New York, 10169, has prolonged and elongated Glendora versus Cablevision 93 Civ 3844 Charles L. Bryant for 3¼ years. He has lied, misrepresented, stolen, and cheated at least 50 times. As soon as one lie was shut down, he would manufacture another. He is a resident of Rye, New York. He lost the Joan Collins case. He lost Glendora versus Cablevision in the Second Circuit and in the Judge Bryant Court. He lost Glendora versus Cofault Cablevision on July 29, 1994. And James L. Cofault lost his job on March 1st, 1994, and is now in North Carolina. He was president of Cablevision Systems Corporation, a position that has never been filled since James Cofault was fired. And here's the citing of that case, some of it. And the citing of the Second Circuit case. Cablevision really lost all around, all of these court fights. Glendora sues the Sullivan to Krausman defendants for robbing her of her right to appeal by denying her poor person relief when she has been declared IFP over 5 times. There's no question, it's nothing that you can dispute. Glendora is a poor person. Glendora sues Charles L. Bryant for robbing her of her right to jury trial twice. Glendora sues Charles Dolan through Cablevision for violating her freedom from cable TV operator editorial control and press for her victory costs in Glendora versus Cofault of $1,000 for the return of $350 plus 9% statutory interest for the subpoenas of February 1996 and $120 for the audio tape they ordered the fourth quarter of 1995 plus 9% statutory interest for the litigation costs of all of the above, for fair and reasonable compensation for the labor on all of this, and for the work of opposing the derivative action lawyer fees in 96 Civ 1400 Sidney H. Stein, which the Dolan, Tata, Quinn management should not have ignored and should have handled. Glendora sues Donald N. Silverman because he gave her a right and then went back on it. You cannot give Glendora a right in court and then go back on it. Sullivan through Krausman never sent Glendora a copy of their odious order. This is irresponsible. Judge Bryant suggested to Robert Callaghy he file a Rule 68 offer of judgment to stop Glendora's costs from accruing. Robert Callaghy did not know enough to do it until Judge Bryant told him on October 26, 1995. Put the bug in his ear. You see the minutes that Judge Bryant ordered on December 11, 1995, Glendora should have without charge, but never sent Glendora a copy of the order. As it turned out last week, Capizzi, the head of the Southern District Reporters, PC, private corporation. Now, they aren't a court entity at all. They're just a group of stenographers, very greedy, trying to rip off everybody they can. Anyhow, she sent a paper to Judge Bryant, and he signed it and approved that Glendora should get a refund on those minutes of $103. The record does not engender public trust, nor devotion to the public good, nor show good behavior, as every Article 3 judge must. Article 3 of the Constitution of the United States said there will be United States judges. It turns out that these are United States district judges, and they shall show good behavior. Justice Rehnquist wants the judges to have an increase over the $130,000 a year they get, public ripoff. With the benefits Charles L. Bryan is reaping protecting Tolan through Cablevision, he does not need an increase. Charles L. Bryan is 74 years old, and although appointed for life, he should realize he is hurting America. Wherefore Glendora, plaintiff, pages 2 through 18, shows you within, do show why she is entitled to the relief specified in her paragraphs 1 to 42 to recover from defendants compensatory and punitive damages of $181 million. The cost of this action and any other relief that is just and proper. Huntington Station, New York, on February the 11th. We included this article from Newsday about Glendora. We include this article from the New York Times when Glendora beat Cablevision in the New York State Supreme Court. This article on the front page of the New York Law Journal, cable host wins right to air. That's for ignorant. Cable companies do not air. The cable cast, their signal goes through a coaxial cable. And multi-channel news. And many more there were. I didn't send them all. And that's it. Somebody at Cablevision said to Glendora, you can't put up a slate that says you can pick up a free Glendora Happy Book at 111 New South Road in Hicksville. Glendora says, I don't see how Cablevision is prejudiced by that in any way. And it was left in the air instead of on the cable. And I never heard, but sure enough, on Friday night, that program was cablecast and the slate was not changed. The teenagers asked Sid and Sal, their mother and father, what they wanted for their 18th wedding anniversary, and Sid and Sal said, we would like our own telephone. And the doctor told Arthur that a middle-aged man such as himself should not shovel snow, that he could have a heart attack. So Arthur went home and he said, son, will you please shovel the snow? And his son says, yes, Dad, I'll start immediately. Arthur had the heart attack. And there had been several warnings of earthquake shocks in the area. And so Dorothy and Bill decided to send their young son deep into the interior, away from the danger of the earthquake, with an uncle. And in 2 days, they got a telegram from the uncle that said, I'm returning the boys, send the earthquake. I was reading to you This is the third appeal of Judge Bryant, Charles L. Bryant, that I have had. And the first one was successful. The second one is in the United States Supreme Court. And I haven't heard from them yet because Bryant is sloppy and he doesn't write a neat final order. And so I don't know what the United States Supreme Court's going to do about that. But this one is the third one. And this is because Bryant stayed robbed Glendora of her trial the second time. That's what it means. He's protecting Cablevision, Dolan, Totter, and Quinn for reasons that you have to guess at. But I think it's pretty obvious what they are. And so I was telling the United States Court of Appeals where Cablevision finally capitulated and was giving up taking Glendora off of TV. And these are the series of letters that you know and have been read to you where Former writes, Charles Former, pro Former, writes to Glendora, and Glendora writes back to Former. And so this is reproduced for the Second Circuit. And it is not flattering to Mr. Former. And this was included to the Second Circuit, that New York, these really means New York State Supreme Court judges in New York County are getting reviews. And I say that all judges should have that, and that the federal judges should be next. And I include in here the federal appellate judiciary in the 21st century. This is judges speaking to other judges about judges' problems. And of course they're whining about the caseload. And the reason we have such a big caseload is that we have so many bad judges that people appeal their decisions. If they would make just decisions, people wouldn't appeal. And that would take care of a lot of the caseload. Their concern is not justice and constitutional vigilance, but workload, increased pay, and collegiality. From the outside, Glendora could see that you Second Circuit judges had problems. But reading your essays, one to another, Glendora sees you have even worse problems, obliterating your call by and duty to America. Glendora took your robbery of her first trial to the United States Supreme Court. The clerks wrote back for an opinion of Charles L. Bryant, and you know that story. Okay, this is page 41. This paper's falling apart just like the courts. All of these lofty quotes of judges, all of this case law, all of this Moore's federal practice, and what do judges do? They rule by the seat of their pants. It is not good behavior coming from Charles L. Bryant. It is frivolous behavior. It is self-interest behavior. It's malicious and vicious. And Attorney Callagee will have to answer Glendora's expose of his negligence, inattention, professional incompetence, lying, cheating, stealing, cover-up, contempt, falsehoods, misinterpretations, and other irresponsible conduct as ground for disciplinary action, exclusion from the United States District Court, Southern District in New York, and the United States Court of Appeals, Second Circuit, and disbarment here on the week that the American Bar Association is having its annual meeting. C.L. Bryant has failed to carry out the Second Circuit mandate of January 11, 1995, when he lost to me, a pro se. His mishandling of the case has elongated into 5 huge folders. 9 inches high equals 7 feet of shelf space. There was and is no need of this. His inventory runs away with his judgment. Glendora has proved since his decisions of February 28, 1997, he cannot rule on the merits, the law, and the facts. And she wrote to the other 2 branches about it. She wrote to Congress and President Clinton. Can you do justice to this 7 feet of shelf space? No. The saddest repercussion is that these reports on Charles Bryan are being seen and heard by the teenagers who see and hear the evil but true record and call Glendora and give their opinion and mention Charles Bryan by name. It's a very, very sad thing. Okay, page 42. An appellant's brief can be only 50 pages. All right. And then I talked to them about the committees on the Judicial Council of the United States. And then I tell them that, remind them of their decision against Gerard Cattell, who's been banished to Connecticut. He used to be here in the Southern District of New York, White Plains, about his failure to exercise judicial making authority. His failure to make a decision. The cable TV franchise between Cablevision and the town of Oyster Bay, it's up for renewal on April 1997. You and I have a lot of work to do. We must get a copy of the proposed new franchise, and we must find out if there's going to be a public meeting on that, as is required by law. And we must make sure that into that franchise is written our own public access channel, which is the law. Any cable system with more than 21 channels has to provide a full-time designated public access channel, and Cablevision doesn't have one. We have to share with Telecare. No more share Telecare. We want our own public access channel. And then we also have to make sure that into the new franchise is written that we will have a TV production studio. We have one now in Hicksville, we have one in Lynbrook. But we must make sure that these stay and that they are not taken away from us. And there's quite a few documents that I want to go over to the Oyster Bay Town Hall and see. Oyster Bay had the right to examine any officer of Cablevision. I want to know if they ever did. An annual report due within 60 days of either semi-annual repayment or certified by a certified public accounting firm. I want to see that. An annual report given to the town of Oyster Bay by Cablevision. An annual report showing all revenues of Cablevision and all expenses in standard categories. I want to see that. Something else I was going to tell you. See it. A semi-annual report showing the total number of subscribers within the town. Got to see that. The town shall have the right to examine any officer of Cablevision Systems Long Island Corporation. Did you examine any of them? The officer in charge of enforcing this agreement with Cablevision is none other than Louis Yavoli. And they have to post a bond of $50,000, and they have to post insurance of $5 million, and it has to be in the town hall, and it has to be available for the public to see. So you and I have got to get over there and see that. We have a lot of work to do before April 1997 this year. Just for you, that there isn't time to read. Here's a left-hand bunch, and here's a right-hand bunch. And so those will have to go until some other time. We did 4 half-hour programs today for this week of February 17, 1997. TCI, the lawsuits we have against TCI.
Home Shopping Network, Interactive Network, DMX Incorporated, International Family Entertainment, Silver King Communications, TSX Corporation, Turner Broadcasting System, United Video Satellite Group, Video Jukebox. They didn't mention Time Warner. On the other hand, Turner Broadcasting, I think, heard of Time Warner. Your right message, 3, 4, 51, begin. Friday, February 7th. Message 4:52 p.m. Friday, February 7th.
It's a joke of the day.
Message 5.
Whatever it was.
Friday, February 7th.
This message is a reference to the databases for Joshua Koenig. There was nothing in the files for him. This was dated Friday, February 7th. I can reach it 8:05 to 6:05.
Totally unintelligible.
9.
Corny Koenig.
a.m. Monday, February.
Imposter lawyer.
That's good one, Glendora. Hi, it's Becky and Julie. Just so you know that we're thinking about you.
Becky Carley, doctor.
This morning in court. I had a little incident yesterday where I was putting up my fence for my sleep. I sprained my ankle and they will come tomorrow. So give me a call when you get back for a couple minutes. I'd really like to hear what happened. Okay?
Yep.
And so thanks for letting me go. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Message 7:106 p.m. Tuesday, February 11th. Yeah, hi, this is Danny of Upper Kelly, USA. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry I was busy and I cannot speak up. I'm glad you takes taking care.
Canon, USA. I don't know what his name was, do you?
Message 8.
I don't have to go there anymore.
p.m. Tuesday, February 11th.
They resolved all the problems. This is this Canon PC copier. It's a sweetheart.
Message 9.
It's really a ding. Oh, it's great.
February 11th.
See, and it has a...
I just wanted to tell you that Dan's surgery was done today, and it was a success, and he's doing well, he's resting comfortably, and he'll probably be in the hospital about 4, 5, 6 days, and everything, we're very optimistic. Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Finally, I'm happy to report my cable television is disconnected. I told them I wanted it disconnected on December 16th. It took them until February the 10th to disconnect it. So I am rid of a cable TV operator. Machine got shut off again. Boy, oh boy. I wish they'd stop doing that. There were 25 calls on there at least. That was through Friday. And then there's the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday calls. We got to straighten that out, folks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 testing. Do you hear this microphone over here? Yes, I hear it very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 testing. Let's play it back now, see if we got a crackle. Hooray, there's no crackle. I want to go try the extension cord and hook up a light to it and see if that causes a crackle. Okay? All right, put this on pause record. Okay, now we're testing with a light and an extension cord to see if that causes the crackle. And there's Katie Cat over there. And the money on the wall. March the 7th, the 2 boys who stole those blanks, see those blanks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? They're going to be sentenced. March the 7th to 5 years probation or more. Well, we don't know what they're going to be sentenced to. That's up to the judge. LaCava. Okay, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Pause, record. I think our test is over. Our test is over. We don't have any crackle, and it was the battery in the microphone. Okay. Of course, the real test would be hook it up in the living room. But then that wouldn't be complete because I can't carry the monitor into the living room. Too heavy. I think our test is over. Okay, let's cue the... let's see, folks, I think I've got... Carl helped me set the telephone answering machine. Now let's see if I've got it. And I wanted you to hear these messages before they were erased.
Here is today's joke. Messages. 3:14 a.m. Monday, January 2.
The clock isn't set.
This message is for Jennifer. I was wondering if I could get in touch with her. Yeah.
No, Jennifer.
I'll give her a call back. Maybe tonight. Bye.
Message 3:50 a.m. Monday, January 2. Hello, this is David Deitch at Cablevision returning your call. Please give me a call back when you're available.
Thank you, David.
6:25 a.m. Monday, January 2. Hello, I'm not sure if I have the right line. I'm calling for Jasmine. My name is Tommy. She can call me at 256728. Thanks a lot. End of messages. Enter command or star for help.
Hey. The time now is 9:36 a.m. I just called the police. And I think there are injuries. All I can figure is that the red car was coming south on Greenridge. I gotta get my coat on. Yeah, red car was coming south on Greenridge. In other words, going this way. And that that the blue car was going east on Rutherford, and that the red car came up and hit that that old fire post, which should have been taken down long ago by the city of White Plains. And then skidded over and came over and hit the tree. Now there is an elderly woman in the passenger seat. And I just called the police, as I say. And with the wind chill now, it's 10 below. The date is February the 17th, 1997, Monday. This is at Rutherford and Greenridge in the city of White Plains. And this is so-called President's Day, which is a loafer's day, and the Japanese are right about Americans. It's nobody's birthday. Okay, here are the police and the ambulance I've called. I'm going to get in out of this wind to videotape this. This is mighty cold. The woman is getting out. Oh, she looks in good shape. Oh, that's good. Okay, we're videotaping Frank and Robert. this car. That was the car that hit this car. Now, the car that was just pulled away came up to this stop sign right here in Rutherford going west. And he went through the stop sign and he hit this car. And this car has a man of about 70 years old. And I guess he has been taken out of the car. And he's going, there's the man right there. Okay, he was hit broadside, it looks to me. A lot happened when I called the police, didn't it? She's a good cop. One time she was bad, but she's a really good cop. Here's the driver of the car. And here's the woman who was in the passenger. Don't sign anything. The poor guy, how can he sign anything? Being in an accident like that. Don't sign it. I need your license, registration, and insurance card, said she. We had another fire truck that came and went. Maybe you saw that one. Franklin was videotaping. We had 3 fire trucks. So that's a count. 3 fire trucks, 1 ambulance, and 2 police cruisers. Oh, that's what the poor guy was signing. He's got to pay for it now. He's got to pay for it. That's why he had him sign it. That's that crooked Abby Richmond. They did that for Franklin. Oh, no, that's no good. That's no good. That's really crooked, these ambulances. There must be a lawyer around here somewhere. Somebody's got to be a lawyer. This is my neighbor, too, at 1A. Somehow or other, he was involved. Slippery. I don't think the pavement is slippery, but see what we had last night with a 1/2 inch of snow. Then the temperature went up, and then it rained, and then it made the pavement icy and it hasn't had time to melt. That's good. Nobody was really seriously hurt. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 firemen. Now what are they going to do with the poor lady? Somebody should be helping her. She shouldn't be going over there alone. She's getting into the cruiser. Okay. Apparently they're going to the hospital. But then Abby Richmond, what did they have to do with it? Taking them to the hospital. And apparently the gentleman driver is going to the hospital. Now we don't have a tow truck. So that's next up. We have a policeman directing traffic. And that man who was helping out immediately when it happened, I don't know where he appears from. He appeared here at another accident. And now he disappears. Okay, these are two policemen taking the two victims. Let me show you that, see, White Plains did away with all of the fireboxes on the street corners. And they haven't got around to taking this one away. Might be too cold out here for the camera. The wind is bad. Oh boy, here's a fireman with an axe. This is February 17th, so-called President's Day, Loafers Day, nobody's birthday.
Okay. I mean, we're going to move this, put it to the side so we don't have to move.
Okay, we're going to fade down. It's so sad. That is so sad. I feel so sad for those people, all of the people. Apparently the elderly couple in the maroon car were going south on Greenridge. Okay, going south on Greenridge. My neighbor who lives across the hall was going west on Rutherford, and apparently he's looking down south on Greenridge because that's where he lives and that's where he's going to park, and he starts to go, and he didn't look north on Greenridge again, and that's when the other car came through the intersection and he hit him. Oh, I feel so sorry for all of those poor people. Tenants and neighbors, you must join, because Joe Bruno on June 16th said that rent control and rent stabilization will cease to exist. We have to stop that. Joe Bruno, Majority Leader, New York State Senate, December 5th, 1996. We need our rent control. You need your rent control in the state of New York. And so we must oppose this, and I want you all to join, tenants and neighbors, of course, unless you're a landlord. And I imagine that Mr. Bruno and the other supporters are getting well compensated in some way or another to get rid of rent control. And remember, the landlords have $1 million lobby, and what do tenants have? Nothing. And so they're the ones who are going to be robbed, as all of the little people get robbed by the big people. So I'm going to give you their telephone number. There's 212 Manhattan. That's easy to remember, isn't it? And 695, remember that. That's a route near the Fog's Neck Bridge. And then the last part is 4314. So join tenants and neighbors and join this fight to stop the greedy landlords from robbing us of rent control. Play that back. Did you hear that beautiful audio? So it was what we said. Why didn't you tell me that? Franklin, thank you for going to get us a new battery for our external mic. And happy Valentine's Day. I love you. Landlords and badge legislators in the state of New York and Albany. We have to watch them. I know a few things that my landlord is not following. Section 300 of, you know that I'm reading the New York statutes. Okay. I think you know that I'm up to Book 22. And Book 22 is the multiple dwelling law and the multiple housing law. And Section 300 of that law is the registry of the owner, and it is on or before July 1st, 1954, every owner of a multiple dwelling shall file with the department, that would be the building department of the municipality in which you live, in this case White Plains, a statement and duplicate on a form to be prepared by the department substantially as follows: the owner of the record, the street number or other identifying description, the type of construction, frame, brick, stucco, etc., the height of the building, the number of stories, and the number of rooms or apartments for which design. The number of stories doesn't refer to what you get from the landlord when he tries to rent it to you, and the number of persons in the occupancy. Now this is not a certificate of occupancy. That is something different. What else is wrong about this landlord is no superintendent, and it's 16 units, and you must have a superintendent live on the premises or at least 200 feet away from the premises. What else is wrong with this landlord is the drainage, improper drainage. Every time it rains, the cellar fills with puddles. What else is wrong with this landlord? The sewer smells, and it should not do that. What else is wrong? There should be a smoke detector in every one of these 16 units. And I believe that the landlord is trying to get by with just having a smoke detector on the first floor in the hallway of each building and on the second floor in the hallway of each building. And this is my reading, and this is the file for the New York statutes, and this is book 22. And I'll just give you an idea, folks, of the grid, how many more books I have to go. There's 7 shelves, and I'm at the very end of the 4th shelf. So you see, I think I'm almost halfway or a little over halfway maybe. But here's the grid of them. Excuse me. Of the books. General business, insurance. I'm not going to read those volumes, certainly. And judiciary law, I finished that one, and that reveals all of the things that judges are supposed to do and never are. And labor law. And this is the number of the book. You see that one goes from 61 to what? 70. And then the volume, and then the number of the law, the chapter of the law. And so, going forward, let's get you another page here. Here are volumes 71 to 80. Penal law, that is not of interest to me. And here's 81 to 90, books 81 to 90. And so this is the grid, 91 to 100. Religious corporation law, I looked that up when people in my church were doing things that they should not have been doing. And 101 to 110 books. Tax law, uniform commercial code. So someday maybe I'll finish them, but I got good news for you on this account. Hey, look, here's the last one. It's book 130 and the Supreme Court rules. Now this is the consolidated laws of the state of New York. They are called statutes. But I rejoice to tell you this, I've finished the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. That's a little more like it. There's only 81 of them. 81 or 84, something like that, and then there's forms. So that's a little more like it. The state, it really ought to clean up its act. The state doesn't have any pro se clerks. The state calls informal paupers poor person. And so this is the reading, as I say, I'm almost done, the multiple dwelling law and the multiple housing law. And that's section 83, that you have to have a janitor or a housekeeper if you have over 13 units. This is what the multiple residence law looks like. See, the multiple dwelling law was a 1929 law. Pretty old, huh? As old as I am. I was born in 28. And it applies to municipalities in New York of 325,000 or over. Now that's only New York and Buffalo. And then the multiple housing law was 1954 on or about, and it applies to cities of 325,000. So that's pretty much you and me, and certainly the city of White Plains, which isn't even 100,000, I don't think. Okay. So we will work on this, and then we will either file a lawsuit, or we will file a complaint with the building department, or, but anyway, we will get this resolved. See, you have to know your rights, and you have to know the law. New York Shield keeps calling us. So we just tell them we don't have any money. It's amazing how quickly they hang up. You know, there's that joke that I tell you that the minister told in church. A man went to buy a hearing aid, and the owner of the store says, well, I have one that's $2,500 and I have one that's $1.98, and well, what's the difference? Well, the one with $2,500 has a lot of gadgets and advanced electronics and technology. Well, what's the one $1.98 like? Well, it's a button on a string, and you put the button in your ear and you put the string in your pocket. You'd be amazing how loudly people start talking to you.
Messages erased. Enter command or star for help. Record announcement.
With all the fancy new gadgets that they have on cars today, with all the fancy new gadgets they have on cars today, they ought to invent a windshield wiper that won't hold a parking ticket. This is sore and it's very, very rough. You run your hand over and it's like that. It's all bumpy. And this is the morning of February 19th. Almost 24 hours since it happened. In fact, it's 23 hours. It happened at 9:25 a.m. Tuesday, February 18th. This is Wednesday, February 19th, 8:30 a.m. We have to go to hear the oral argument, Time Warner versus the City of New York. U.S. Court of Appeals, 2nd Circuit, 10 o'clock. We gotta get from White Plains to Manhattan. Okay, fade out.
And I wanted to get the name of that detective because I thought, if it's all right with you, I would like to call up and just say that I'm the doctor that examines you and I'm just calling to find out, who would handle something like this because I'm very concerned about your injuries and just to see, what he has to say from stuff. I'll be, and I'm just probably just the doctor examining you. But, this is not acceptable that they just said in the court, message to 4:17 p.m. Wednesday, February 19th.
Hi, this is Tammy Keller, reporter from Newsday. I'm calling in for Glendora Buell. I'm calling because I'm writing a story about an apparent scuffle that happened yesterday in Uniondale involving some security officers at the courthouse in Uniondale. My number is 516-843-4637, and I'd like to talk with Glendora Buell or Frankman. Is it Buell? I don't know his last name.
Message 3:4:18 p.m. Wednesday, February 19th. End of messages. Answer off.
With all the fancy gadgets they have on cars today, they should invent a windshield wiper that won't hold a parking ticket.
Enter yes to confirm. Messages erased.
This is the second day. Third day. This is the third day. It happened on February 18th. Yesterday was February 19th. And today is February 20th, Thursday. And this is the third day. There's no decrease in this painfulness. I don't see any decrease in the discoloration. And there's no decrease in the swelling. The doctor said that this was more than a bruise. It's something else that happens to the soft tissue. In addition to being a bruise, which is broken blood vessels, this is something else. Fade out. So we have to shoot this in a frame of reference, folks, so that you can see it. This is Kenneth Millworm at a Pinkerton, at the working for the United States Marshal Service, who is totally unfit for the job that he does. He acts like a madman. He acts insane. He's totally unqualified for the work, out of control of himself. And this is at the Eastern District of New York, the United States Courthouse, Long Island Courthouse. It says United States District Court, Long Island Courthouse, it says outside in concrete. Uniondale. Fade out. All we're doing is getting the day-by-day pictures of this. And I'm going to tell you the story as to what happened. And that's going to take a while, and it'll have to be Monday. And today is Thursday, when I can sit down and tell you about this. And I guess this is going to be one of the biggest civil rights lawsuits there ever was. I certainly feel it in the injuries. Okay, fade out. Folks, this is the fourth day. This happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and this is Friday, February 21, 1997, Anno Domini. And the time is 9 a.m. And Franklin is shooting this from the bathroom mirror. I don't see how a thing like that can ever heal, can you? We have lots of audio tapes to play you of our protection agencies refusing to press charges of the United States Marshal. Can you believe this? The United States Marshal refusing to prosecute the people who did this in a federal courthouse. We have tapes of elder abuse, people charged with senior citizen elder abuse, refusing to do anything. It's a very, very bad record. And I don't know if you want to hear all those audio tapes, but we have 2 or 3 hours. This day, folks. Let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It looks worse than ever, doesn't it? I believe that the swelling has gone down some. You see, in addition to the bad contusion, there's the swelling. Now, yesterday, we went over to the first precinct, and we filed a criminal information. We filed, let's see, what did we tell them? We wanted to charge Ken, we think his last name is Millworm, who is a Pinkerton at the United States District Court in Uniondale, that we wanted to charge him with assault. And we wanted him arrested. So I'll tell you all about that. That was very well done by the first precinct, which is in Baldwin on Merrick Road, just west of Freeport. Okay, fade out, and I want to show you something else. Hold fade out. These are bruises on the same arm, just above the wrist. And don't you see, this is where his right hand grabbed my arm to put my arm behind my back and twist it. Isn't that great? A 68-year-old woman. This man, Kenny, is not fit to be out in society. He's a menace to society. And so, you see like that, how his hand came like that. So there's 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers. Okay, fade out, and then I have something else to show you. This is a bruise under the left arm, where he came up behind me and grabbed me. I wonder what he does to his own mother. As we say, Kenny is about 190 pounds, white male, 5'11", and muscular. Sort of blue eyes, sort of deep blue eyes, brownish hair, and it's cut straight across his ears. No sideburns. Okay, we can fade out.
Please call me when you get a chance. Dale McCarthy doesn't want to help you either. She wants you to call the congressperson from your district, Health Central.
Carolyn McCarthy.
The courthouse is in her district. I'm still trying to get through the courts. Ms. Bayhon has had a very long lunch break. Ken Orlando is sending me 2 balls, 1 for each of us. And other than that, I'm clear. Bye-bye.
Ken Orlando at Acme Light is sending us 2 bulbs because they went just like that, and they're $35 bulbs. So it looks like number 2 is empty. Okay, let's
Enter yes to confirm. Messages erased.
okay, you fade out. Okay, fade in. There were 28 messages.
2:04 p.m. Thursday, February 20.
This is the Department of Social Services. Is anybody home? They kept calling up and hearing the joke, and they don't understand jokes. They don't know how to laugh.
2:07 p.m. Thursday, February 20.
Is this Miss Glendora Duo? 425-0304. If you wish to report a case of elder abuse, please call 571-4822. Thank you.
And she reported to my doctor that I was mentally unsound because I left a joke on my recorder.
February 20.
Now this is somebody in her office listening to the joke.
9 p.m. Thursday, February 20. Message 6.
And that's somebody else. That's the second one.
p.m. Thursday, February 20.
And that's the joke of the day.
Message 8. 2:44 p.m. Thursday, February 20.
Hi, this is Naomi Mankiewicz. I met you at Big Vision the other day at Public Access. Gentlemen, if you could be suing, we would love to speak about your suit. If there's anything that you found successful or whatever. His name is Darrow Alexanian. His phone number at work is 516-845-3858. Or his beeper number is 917-233-5303. Very interested to speak.
Message.
No, nothing else. There's no beep. But there's a beep.
We don't understand what your show is about, but we really want to know. Please call us because we have a report against Cablevision. 326-9087. Thank you.
Message 17:10 p.m. Friday, February 21.
Glendora, Ray Barton here. Saw your show on the 21st with the judges. Have some comments for you. Number here is 358-6348. Thank you.
Message 24:28 p.m. Friday, February 21.
Glendora, my name is Vincent. I've been watching you on television this evening. I'm an actor, a director, and a writer. Also a good cameraman. Would you change your lighting? Or use your camera? Change your lighting a little bit. Make it a little bit more dramatic.
Message 25:10:30 p.m. Friday, February 21.
Glendora,
7 calls from Huntington. Some of those were the Department of Social Services on Thursday. And so I think that would leave about 20, maybe 22 calls in Huntington. Okay, now, we are going to erase these.
Enter 0 to confirm. Messages erased. Enter command or star for help. Record announcement.
The doctor said to Arthur, "You mustn't shovel snow. You're a middle-aged man and you could have a heart attack." And Arthur went home and he said, "Son, would you please shovel the snow?" And his son says, "Yes, Dad, I'll start immediately." And Arthur had a heart attack. Fade out. Setting up to videotape. We have to move the tree. Make a mess of the living room. There's 2 plants that I rescued. And we can't get a white balance. Now in here we have, these are all for Cablevision. File drawer 1 starts with their law breaking, and they won't admit it and correct it and reform. And so it goes up to 5 files. The first one is down in the basement bin. And yesterday it took us 1 hour, 2 people to find the rest of the happy books. And let me show you that. This is the end of the plastic backs. Right there. Those are the end of the plastic backs. And then there's 1 more box of paperbacks. And then that's the end. Now I'll show you the TCI, law breaking, lying, and covering up. Nobody can break laws like a cable operator and lie and cover up and hire lawyers to lie for them. Nobody can do it better than a cable company. And this is the first box of Continental Cable Company bought by U.S. West. This is Glendora versus Hofstede. This is when I worked at NBC Hollywood in 1950. 2 or 3. Well, there's a whole lot to tell you folks as to how that happened, and and I only got 8 minutes to do it in. And this is the Long Island edition for the Woodbury system, and I have to tell you, and have to tell you fast, and it's for February 28th. Is when you're going to see it on the TV. It's being videotaped today, February 24th. It happened a week ago tomorrow, which would have been February 18th. It was a beautiful day. We were walking into we went to Hofstra University, where the Uniondale Courthouse is. It says United States District Court, Long Island Courthouse. And Franklin and I walked in. We had 2 serious pieces of business. We wanted to see how Glendora shareholder versus the board of directors of Cablevision, Charles Dolan and James Dolan and its management. And so we wanted to see how that was going. The informer pauperis has been approved, and so now it goes to the marshals, United States Marshal, to be served upon the defendants. Cablevision Systems Corporation, Board of Directors, Management, Dolan's, and Todd and Quinn. And so it was at 9:25 a.m. And we walked into the courthouse, and we emptied our pockets of all the metal that we had, and I put my recorder, my little tiny recorder, I put it in the basket, and there were about 5 or 6 people there. Now you understand that they are not marshals. They are Pinkertons. They are nothing but hired former policemen who want revenue and who want extra income. And so we were told that I couldn't take the recorder into the courthouse, and I said, and the recorder was taken from me, and I said, I want a receipt for that. And I was told we don't give receipts, and I questioned why. And this husky, as I found out later that his name is Ken, he's about 50 years old, he's about 190 pounds, he's muscular, and he has sort of dark blue eyes, and he's balding, and his hair is brownish, and he doesn't have any sideburns. His hair is cut straight across. And he took the recorder and he slammed it down on the desk and he says, "You're not going to get a receipt." Isn't this great for the United States Marshals and the United States District Court, for the United States Marshal Service? Now, this guy was a Pinkerton. He slammed that recorder down on his desk, and that's a $150 electronic instrument. And then the next thing we knew, there were 5 or 6 of them there, and they were telling us that we had to leave the courthouse. Well, you can't do that. You cannot close the court to the public. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 77, says the court shall be open, and they can't be closed to the public. And so the next thing I know, I'm standing near the metal detector, and the next thing I know, I felt somebody grab me from behind, here, and you've seen the bruises, here, and you've seen the bruises here. And then Franklin came between me and this Ken, who really is not fit for the job. He shouldn't be on the job. He just doesn't have what it takes, and he lacks all of the things that it takes. And then Franklin came between us to protect his wife, and this Kenny draws off and hits Franklin in the cheek, socks him in the cheek. And Franklin's 78 years old, I'm 68 years old, and Franklin falls to the floor. In the meantime, I'm down on the floor, prone. And my hat is knocked off, my wig is knocked off, and I'm pretty sick all over, and of course, multiple strains and muscles and hurts and aches and pain. I lay on the floor, and then Franklin got up, and it was really a great scene to walk into a United States courthouse and see 2 senior citizens lying all over the floor. Now, there were 4 witnesses. They were black people, and they were over to the right. I would like those 4 witnesses to step forward. They were there at the beginning, and they were there at the end. And so there was another kinky-haired, gray-haired Pinkerton who had glasses, and then there was another younger one, and that one with the glasses, kinky-haired, must have been about 65. And then there was another one who was, they don't wear any badges, you know, any insignia. They're supposed to wear blue coats and a little plastic thing that says United States Marshal Service, but remember, they're nothing but Pinkertons. They're just hired hands. And then there was another one, younger, who had black hair, a little bit longer than a crew cut, and a white shirt, and another one with a white shirt, and no insignia, no badges or anything. So it was brutality from the beginning to the end, and there isn't enough time to finish telling you about it. It'll have to be continued on Chapter 2, and Chapter 2 won't be seen in Woodbury. It will be seen in another cable system. We left at 9:40 a.m. We got the recorder back, and when I got the recorder back, I started recording. And I had a bad injury from the ear all the way down along the cheekbone to here. The legs were all hurt, and there was talk about calling an ambulance, but nobody did call an ambulance. And I had to go to Hicksville to edit. I sure would not have liked to. I would have liked to have recuperated from these wounds, but I had. Andrew Hersman was depending upon me. Then I had to get my own programs done, and you can't make up editing time. Editing time lost is lost forever. And I had to help somebody else with a program. So You heard the old expression, the show must go on, so I just had to go on. And by the time I got to Hicksville and started carrying in all of the equipment, it was pretty obvious that I didn't feel well, and it was obvious to Dominic, and it was obvious to everybody else. But I had to plug through the day. And that's going to end the time. We don't have any more time to tell you about it, and that's too bad. Sorry, you're not going to hear the end of it. You have to go to another cable company to hear it. Well, we called all over Nassau County to find somebody to help us, and nobody would help us. I reported it to the Chief Deputy Marshal in Eastern District, who is in Brooklyn, and because they have the Nassau and the Suffolk counties that's in their district. And his name is Parker, and I told him the whole story from beginning to end, and I said, what are you going to do about it? And he said, nothing. I really should play you that audio tape. It's a very, very bad record. And the United States is being ruined. And all of these wonderful things we tell you about through William Pisani's accounts of the soldiers who died and gave their lives for America, this is a very, very sad thing to see these traitors to their country. And so this Parker, I said, what are you going to do about it? And he said nothing. He said, we're going to get a lawyer. And he advised me to get a lawyer. That'll be the day, right? And it's going to be one of the biggest civil rights suits that you've ever seen. The charges against them is that we were no threat to anybody, that we were there on business to the courts, closed the courts to us, beat up 2 senior citizens. Franklin is 78, as I told you, and I'm 68. And to sock a 78-year-old man in the kisser and onto the floor is just inexplicable, and it's heinous. And then to knock a female senior citizen around like that is heinous, all over the fact that they don't give receipts. Now that's another charge against them. If I give you my property, I'm entitled to a receipt. I could come out of the clerk's office and say, may I have my recorder? And I could hear, what recorder? Oh, we don't know about any recorder. Now that's ridiculous. So we're going to sue the Eastern District on that basis. We're also going to throw in there the White Plains Pinkertons on that same account, that they don't give receipts. The Southern District of New York, Foley Square, gives receipts. If they take a recorder or anything else, they give you a receipt for it. The Westchester County Supreme Court and the Westchester County Court gives you a receipt. If they take your property while you're in the courthouse, they give you a receipt. Riverhead gives you a receipt if they take your property. There is just no excuse in the world to take a piece of personal property and not give a person a receipt for it. That is it's just stupid. It's demented. So they're going to get sued on that account. The marshal is going to get sued for not doing anything. All John Does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are going to get sued because they allowed this to happen. As I say, I want those 4 people who are in the vestibule of the United States District Court, Uniondale, on February the 18th to come forward and present their testimony and be witnesses. And what was I going into the courthouse for? I had 2 Cablevision suits. One is a brand new one, a Glendora versus the Glendora shareholder versus the board of director of Cablevision, and Charles Dolan and James Dolan and Tata and Quinn and the management of Cablevision. And the other one was a brand new lawsuit against Cablevision, and it was called Glendora versus Sullivan. And this is about staying my trial, robbing me of my trial and robbing me of due process. So I wanted to file that suit and file my application for informer paupers, hand in my civil cover sheet, and they will make out the summons. The clerk will make out the summons. So that's what I wanted to do in the courthouse, and these thugs prevented me from doing that. Their thug behavior prevented me from doing that. So we called all around, and Department of Social Services wouldn't help us. Elder abuse, senior citizens wouldn't help us. The second precinct wouldn't help us. The third precinct wouldn't help us. Nobody seemed to know which precinct it was. It turned out to be the first precinct, which is in Baldwin. The district attorney wouldn't help us. The New York State attorney general, the line was busy, and the U.S. attorney wouldn't help us, and the FBI wouldn't help us. Isn't that great? You don't have any protection, folks. You just don't have any protection against people who beat you up, thugs who beat you up, and goons. You just don't have any protection. So we called around, and then finally I showed you the bruises and their development from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Franklin and I went to Baldwin to the first precinct, and we congratulate them from word 1 to the final word. They did a good job. McAllister was on the desk, and Officer Doherty, Tony Doherty, heard the information, and then made out the form. There's a form they make out, and then they make out a statement, and she wrote the statement. I would have preferred to have written my own, but she did a good job, and told the story, and it went over onto the second page, and I signed it, and I said it was true. And Franklin gave his story, and she wrote that out too, and so therefore Franklin's wasn't quite as long. I said, and Franklin said, that we want this Kenny arrested. I believe his last name is Millworm, and it's a very unusual name, but I checked very carefully when I heard it. And I said, "You mean worm?" "Yes." And so we want him arrested for assault. In my case, it's assault because I had multiple injuries. And in Franklin's case, it's a harassment. Although there was injury to the soft tissue when he got hit in the face and knocked down, his is going to be harassment. And so it's been turned over to the detectives. My favorite detective has moved from that precinct, I'm sorry to say, gone up to the 3rd, but then he's been promoted to sergeant, so congratulations, but I would like to have had him take care of it. His name is John Flanagan. I've known him for another years from the Scott Lord case, which started this whole thing out in Long Island. The Department of Consumer Affairs not protecting your consumers. And my reporting that on TV and then Cablevision trying to solicitously taking care of the agencies whose bad record was being reported every Friday night on TV, and took the program off of TV. This is how this all started. And that goes way, way back to I started on Scott Lord. I got ripped off by Scott Lord in 1986. And I chased him for 8 years, and I finally got paid. Even though he went bankrupt. We got 87 cents on the dollar, which is phenomenal. And it was only through very, very hard work and vigilance and watchdogging that it happened. So this is how the whole thing happened. That's how I knew Detective Flanagan. So he's a sergeant now, and I congratulate him for that. Anyway, Doherty was terrific, and Doherty took me upstairs, and another detective, who was not going to be my detective, came out with a Polaroid camera and took the pictures. And his name was Katkanis, or something like that. But anyway, he was very pleasant and blonde and good looking, and he took good pictures. I didn't show him the other wounds, because this wound was this one, the one here. Ow! It just dominated the whole scene, and I didn't really discover these wounds. The one under this arm, and then the 4 fingerprints on the arm here. I didn't understand that. 4 finger bruises. I didn't see those until after we'd been to the 1st precinct. But we had a good time in Baldwin. Ice cream cones were being sold we got 2 for 83 cents with sprinkles. So I'm very pleased by that. I haven't heard from the detective. A reporter from Newsday call had heard about it. I'd like to know who tipped the reporter off. And then the reporter all of a sudden disappeared, but we left the entire scene on her recorder. Pat and last name is W and has a lot of syllables. But never heard from her again, and that's kind of stupid. What else? As we left the building, a cruiser had driven up, and a policeman had come to the door, and I felt bad. I mean, I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good enough to talk to him, and I had to get over to Hicksville and start the editing around 10:30, so I didn't report to him then, but he was very nice. His badge number was 68, and his patrol car was 103. First step on that is to make a list of who to sue, actually whom to sue, but WHOOTOSOO, who to sue. And it will include the CEO of Pinkerton, which is headquartered in Los Angeles, and it will include the chairman, and it certainly, as I say, will include those marshals for taking somebody's property and not giving them a receipt. Imagine all that, starting over receipt. There just was no call for that. And for closing the court, not letting a person go into the court and do her business. It will be all of the John Does, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the Kenny John Doe, the Kenny Pinkerton. And I say White Plains because they won't give a receipt. Those Pinkertons who work for the marshal in White Plains, deputy marshal, and the marshal down in Brooklyn. They're going to have a new marshal appointed by the President of the United States, and we will tell the President of the United States about this too. I think it has to be brought in the United States District Court, the Eastern District, because of my address there, and because that's where it happened. I think it could be brought in the Southern District. In the Southern District, White Plains, I think it could be. The file on it is already 31 pages. The number of hours that it has taken is grotesque already, something like 40 hours. That's a whole working week. The costs on it are something like $20 for all the telephoning. And so Wednesday, after editing tomorrow, Wednesday, I hope to sit down and write the complaint. Ginny Cat, is that you? Come on over, Ginny Cat. Why don't you bring Ginny Cat over, Franklin?
Ginny.
Yeah, pick her up and bring her over.
Ginny.
Over here, Ginny. Yeah, the peoples would like to see you, little Ginny Gray Cat. Charcoal Gray Cat. Can you put her up? I'll take those. That's the Ginny Gray Cat. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Franklin. Vision report through and through. It should be seen by the people in the Woodbury system or the people in the Hauppauge system. I'm afraid that this report is going to land up on Continental Cable TV owned by US West on Saturday, March 1st. And that's too bad. And maybe a copy of it will land up in Manhattan. That's good. And it's good for people to know about this brutality, unnecessary and totally incompetent people who are working for the United States Marshal Service. And certainly I'm going to tell them about it, if not sue them. So I just have to go on with it and tell it to you. Well, since this is a Cablevision report, we must go on with it. I received the minutes from the Cablevision derivative action where Sandler Associates and about 25 other defendants were caught red-handed on inside information and doing trading and benefit something like way over $2 million. And a lawsuit was brought to by Margaret Wodzinski. She told Cablevision about it, and you know how Cablevision is, you know how the management of Cablevision is. They didn't lift a finger to do anything about it, and this would mean something like $2.5 million to the shareholders. But that's the, what have I told you about the management of Cablevision? Ignorant and arrogant. Any cable operator is. And so Margaret brought this suit as a derivative action. When you tell the management about it and they don't do anything about it, then a shareholder can go out and bring the suit in behalf of all the other shareholders. And so I went down and argued, as you know, on February 7th that I did not think that the lawyer should get $400,000, and the lawyer ended up getting $250,000. I have the minutes on that. The judge ordered that Cablevision should buy the minutes for me, and I read the minutes. I would like to read them to you. But there's just too much going on to make a full and plenary report of this, but I have the minutes. They can't be read to you because it'll take too long. And then I got Judge Stein's decision. And Judge Stein, like all of those things, said that the settlement meant that nobody could ever bring suit again, and the heirs of any of the people could not be sued, and so forth. And they took away all your rights. And I'd already made a Rule 60B 59E motion to alter the judgment or to amend the judgment or for relief from the judgment. And I haven't heard from that. But when that order came violating everybody's rights, that made me see red. And I appealed it. I filed my notice of appeal. Or it is going to be filed now. That's where Franklin was leaving now, to go to the United States District Court and file it. So there's a notice of appeal on the derivative action which awarded the attorney $250,000, gave Cablevision $850,000 that they didn't lift a finger to get, gave me nothing. I don't know how much Margaret's going to get out of it. She's the plaintiff. And so that's where the matter stands. I got out a mailing to the Glendora phalanx of shareholders. There's about 8 or 10 of us who own stock in Cablevision. And I got a letter out to them telling them that Hempstead is going to be up for renewal, cable TV franchise, in April. So is Oyster Bay, and I believe Long Beach, the city of Long Beach. We've got to find out about the city of Glen Cove, and we've got to find out about the town of North Hempstead. It's critical that we be there and that we demand the following: our own public access channel, no more share telecare. It's critical that we be there to see the new franchise and to critique it and to scrutinize it. It is critical that we make sure that there's going to be a public meeting on this. It is critical that we point out to them that Cablevision is in violation of state law when state law, New York Code, Title 19, Section 595.1 says that any cable operator with over 21 channels has to provide a full-time designated public access channel. Cablevision is in violation of that law. And yet they say that they are in compliance with all federal, state, and municipal requirements. They are not. So we have a lot of work to do there. Both the Glendora phalanx and all of you other public access producers. We've got to take care of this. What else is going on? Cablevision is in the city court of the city of Yonkers unless the record on appeal has been sent to the appellate term of the 9th and 10th Judicial District, which is headquartered in Mineola, under Andrew DiPaolo. And the two judges that we know there are Collins and Gracia, and DiPaolo, 3. And that is because Franklin gave Dolan, Tata, Quinn et al. 5 defendants, gave each of them $70, totaling $350 for, it's Rule 45, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. You get $45 a day. Now, what do you get a day? $40 a day to go to court and testify and be a witness. You get $40 a day for that, plus you get your travel. And we gave them $30 to travel from Woodbury to White Plains. When the trial was stayed on February the 28th, which was a very crooked thing to do, and still stands crooked and hasn't been corrected. When the trial was stayed, and they didn't have to come, they should have returned the $350 to Franklin, but instead they kept it. Billionaires kept it. These are the people who are buying the rest of Madison Square Garden. That's how cheap they are. They kept the $350 instead of returning it to Franklin, and now they're collecting statutory 9% interest on this $350. So that's where they stand on the lowest court. They are in the United States Court of Appeals because Bryant stayed the trial a second time. I have them in the United States Supreme Court because Bryant stayed the trial the first time and denied me due process. We have the Cablevision shareholder action just filed in the Eastern District and should be being served now by the U.S. Marshal. And then we have the Cablevision Glendora versus Sullivan, where the appellate division denied me due process, and therefore I can't appeal the decision of Silverman over in the Westchester Supreme Court. And Bryant says that unless I appeal it, I don't get a trial, which is all very screwy and all very crooked and all very weird. And obviously a sham and a masquerade. And obviously traitorship to America. So so there's two Cablevision suits in the Eastern District. There's one in the United States District Court, there's one in the Cablevision suit in the United States Court of Appeals, and there's one in the United States Supreme Court. And there's one in the Yonkers Court, so I have them in 6 courts. What else? The stats. There has been no time to file and paginate and do the log and do the mailing on Cablevision this week, because their law breaking, their lying, and their covering up has been so profuse, there's been no chance to do much of anything else. The benefit of having added up the money and time Tolan, Tata, and Quinn have cost us the week of February 10th and the week of February 17th, I will estimate to you that they have cost us $9,000 in printing, postage, and rip-off court stenographer fees. They have cost us 4,200 hours time, and you take each hour and multiply it by $250 per hour, which is what these greedy, crooked lawyers get and bilk the public for in their antitrust and monopolistic way. That comes out to over $1 million in lawyer labor that we have had to do fighting these people with their law breaking, with their lying, and with their covering up. It's something like $1,050,000. 49 volumes of Dolan, Tata, Quinn, law breaking, lying, and covering up. 16,000 pages of traitorship to America. 6 file drawers. 3 years, 2 months. 320 TV programs, reports on TV, and about 360 mailings. The editing at Cablevision Tuesday, for which I'm very thankful, Tuesday, February 18th, the day that we got assaulted by Kenny A. Pinkerton, working for the U.S. Marshals at the Uniondale Courthouse. That editing started around 10:30. I didn't get through until 9:30 in the evening, and the day wasn't over until 12:30, and that's with a body covered with bruises and multiple contusions and muscle strain and muscle twists and all those things. Let me tell you again that Cablevision is in violation of state law. We are to have our own designated public access channel, no more shared telecare, and so we all have to work to enforce our rights. And Joan had twin girls. They call them Kate and Duplicate. And The nursery school teacher said to the children, she's taking them out for a walk, and she says, we can all be thankful for one thing, children. We are all free. And the little girl says, I am not free, I am poor. And the lawyer says, it gives me a grand and glorious feeling to give legal advice. And his client says, right, you give him a grand, and he feels glorious. Folsom, I am a Folsom, Glendora Folsom. Merrill Folsom turned 94 on Washington's birthday. He's in terrific shape. He's just the picture of health. And he was a reporter for the New York Times, and he wrote several books, one on mansions all over the world. And then he was head of the New York Times Bureau in White Plains. And his wife, Eleanor, is 93 years old and had just come back from an operation on her stomach, and she's in great shape. We go up and see them every Sunday after church. That's one thing to be very, very grateful for. Another thing is the weather. We have, I think, 65 degrees today. One day we had 70 degrees.